After Jesus' triumphal entry into Jerusalem, and of course the celebration and the praise he received as king, the welcome he received with all the messianic expectation, Jesus and his disciples left to go back out of the city into Bethany, a nearby suburb. Each night they would spend the night outside the city and travel in. And on Monday morning, as Jesus entered into Jerusalem again, one of the most unique stories took place that kind of just, we read and we go, what's that all about? And so Jesus, as he was approaching Jerusalem, he sees a fig tree with all its leaves, all the appearance of health, but yet as he gets there, and of course he's hungry, there are no figs to be had. And so he curses this fig tree. He goes into Jerusalem, engages at the temple, and then leaves again. Let me read you these verses. This is Mark chapter 11, verse 12. The next day, when they went out from Bethany, he was hungry. Seeing in the distance a fig tree with leaves, he went to find out if there was anything on it. And when he came to it, he found nothing but leaves, for it was not the season for figs. And he said to it, "May no one ever eat fruit from you again." And his disciples heard it. Such a unique story, because it's like, why did Jesus curse this fig tree? Was he just upset? Would he have the hangries? What was going on? Why would Jesus curse this fig tree? And what this is it's deeply rooted in a picture of the healthy believer, a healthy follower of God, and the need to bear fruit. You see, Israel is often painted in the Old Testament as a fig tree. And one of the desires of God for Israel is to bear fruit. And so this tree had the appearance of health, but it did not have figs. And so Jesus' his physical need for hunger, met by his eyes that says this tree should have figs, even though it wasn't seasoned, it became a spiritual picture for Israel. Israel had all the appearance of health, all the appearance of religion, all the outward looks of a people that followed God, but their hearts were so far from God. The leaders, the religious establishment, were so far from God. They went through outward rituals and outward cleansing. They went through all the religious activities, but yet they missed out on what it means to bear fruit. And so their faith was made of nothing. And so this fig tree, this cursed fig tree, became a picture of Israel, who though had the appearance of health and religion, had nothing for the heart of God that would bear fruit. Jesus himself said in John 15:5 that I am the vine and we are the branches. If we abide in him, we will bear much fruit. And so it pictures God's desire for us not just to look like we have religion, not just to look like we are spiritual or have the outward appearances of faith like going to church and doing religious things, but instead to have a heart for God that bears fruit, fruit of our good works, fruit of discipleship around us, fruit of the life change that comes in Christ. We are to bear fruit. Israel is showing that they don't have the fruit that comes with knowing God. But then Jesus continues and he goes and he visits the temple. Our passage continues for the day, verse 15. They came to the temple and he went into the temple and began to throw out those buying and selling. He overturned the tables of money changers and the chairs of those selling doves, and he would not permit anyone to carry goods through the temple. He was teaching them, saying, "Is it not written, 'My house will be a house of prayer for all nations,' but you have made it a den of thieves." Some of the other Gospels link this story to day one. We're not 100% sure if this happened on the first day or the second day, but we do know that Jesus went to the temple each day of his trips to Jerusalem. And there at the temple, he taught, he shared with people messages of hope, parables, and he confronted the religious establishment. You see, the temple was not just a place where people went for worship. It was not just a place like a meeting area. The temple represented the very presence and favor of God to the Israel people. And so when Jesus went to teach there, he was identifying himself with God and at the same time opposing all the religious practices and standards an establishment that the Pharisees and Sadducees had put up. So it was a direct confrontation against them every day as he went and taught. And these money changers and these thieves were just an example of the way that people's hearts had drifted so far from God. These money changers, these people selling, all they were doing was taking advantage of the worshipers that were coming, selling them overpriced goods, trying to make money off of God. And because of that, Jesus said, this is not what my Father's house was designed to do. And so he taught, he corrected, and he confronted where things were wrong. And you can see how things went out because the leadership noticed and they were angry. Verse 18 continues, the chief priests and scribes heard it and started looking for a way to kill him, for they were afraid of him because the whole crowd was astonished by his teaching. And whenever evening came, he would go out of the city. You see, as Jesus went into Jerusalem and he taught, people responded. People were amazed and they were encouraged because they heard teaching that was life-giving. Just like that fig tree, it wasn't teaching that brought to no fruit. It was teaching that led toward fruit. It was teaching that got them to the heart of God. And so our choice today is, what are we going to do with Jesus' teaching? Will we reject, get angry, and look for ways to eliminate him from our life? Or we will receive him and know him and embrace him in our hearts?